I'm going to tell you the most frustrating thing about working with AI, and it's not what you think. It's not that the bot gets things wrong, it's that the bot remembers everything you wish it would forget. You delete an entire section, you move on. 2 minutes later, the bot cheerfully suggests you expand on the topic you just threw in the trash. You're being haunted by the AI's memory. And today, I'm going to show you how to exercise that ghost. This is Prompted, AI Beyond the Prompt, and I'm your host, Anaya Steele. This channel is about learning how to work with AI in a way that actually serves you, not theory, not hype, just clear, real-world guidance that helps you shape the technology rather than letting it shape you. So let me break down the haunting. Say you're writing a travel guide for Japan. For the first hour, you and the bot are brainstorming a deep dive into street food in Osaka. You've got pages of notes on takoyaki and ramen. The bot's excited. You're excited. It's going great. But then you pivot. You decide the guide should actually focus on the quiet temples of Kyoto instead. Different vibe, different audience, different project. So you tell it, actually, switch to Kyoto temples. You start working on the new section. 2 minutes later, it says, and while we're at the temple, maybe we could mention where to find the best octopus fritters nearby. Excuse me? We moved on. We're talking about temples now. Contemplative spaces, spiritual architecture. Why are we back on fried food? What's actually happening when you're working with AI in a chat, every message you send doesn't just include your new request. It includes the entire conversation history, every draft, every tangent, every bad idea you tried and abandoned. The AI is reading all of it, every single time. This is its short-term memory. And it's huge. We're talking hundreds of pages of text. But the problem? It can't distinguish between this is current and this is something they scrapped 3 versions ago. It sees everything as equally valid context. So in our Japan example, the AI's memory is currently 90% Osaka street food and only 10% Kyoto temples. To the AI, the most likely thing to talk about next, based on the pattern you've established over the last hour, is still food. It's not trying to ignore you. It's just drowning in the context of your previous work. It doesn't know you had a change of heart. It just sees what you spent the most time talking about. This is pattern matching. The model latches onto earlier context and keeps serving it back to you even after you've moved on. And this same pattern shows up everywhere. Image generation, code writing, any tool where the AI keeps reverting to earlier versions of what you wanted instead of your current direction. Now, this is where you make it worse. You try to correct it. No, we're not doing street food anymore. I already told you we switched to temples. Stop bringing up the thing I deleted. And you know what happens? It apologizes. Then brings it up again 2 messages later, because the apology is now also in the context window. So you're adding more conversation about the thing you're trying to forget, which makes the AI think it's even more important. Every correction reinforces the exact pattern you want it to forget. What I figured out after doing this over and over, stop fighting the machine. Manage the environment instead. It's much easier. And there are several ways you can manage the environment. Option 1, the fresh start. When you make a major pivot in your project, when you scrap an approach, delete a section, completely restructure your thinking, close the tab, open a new chat. Copy only the current version of your work into that window. No baggage, no ghosts, just a clean slate focused on what you're actually working on right now. In our Japan example, you'd open a new chat and start with, I'm writing a travel guide focused on Kyoto temples. Help me develop the section on Kinkakuji. 0 mention of Osaka. 0 mention of street food. The AI has nothing to pattern match against except the work you're actually doing. Option 2, the summary. If you're deep into a project and don't want to start completely over, ask it to summarize just the parts that are still relevant. Summarize the key points about Kyoto temples that we've discussed. Ignore everything else. Then take that summary and use it to start a new chat. You're filtering out the noise so you can hear the signal. Last, option 3. Set a clear boundary. If you're staying in the same chat thread, be explicit. Tell the model directly. I've moved away from the street food focus. We're now working exclusively on temples. Do not reference the previous topic. Clear, direct, one time, then move on. This is how I actually manage it. I separate my workflow into stages. Drafting happens in one chat. I'm exploring ideas, trying different approaches, making a mess. That's fine. That's what drafting is. Iteration happens in another chat. I've made my structural decisions. Now I'm refining. And when I scrap something major during iteration, I start a new chat with just the current version. Verification gets its own clean room. No memory from drafting, no carryover from iteration, just the final work and a clear mandate. Check for errors, not creative input. I use a specific prompt that stops the AI from rewriting my work and forces it to just flag mistakes. I call it auditor mode, and I'll share it in an upcoming episode. This isn't complicated, it's just intentional. I'm controlling the context instead of letting the context control me. Because if you don't manage this, you end up in the worst possible place, arguing with a chatbot about octopus fritters when you're trying to write about Zen gardens. So the takeaway, if the AI keeps referencing something you deleted, that's not a bug. That's a signal. You need to manage the conversation history. Fresh start when you pivot. Summary when you need to preserve context. Clear boundaries when you're staying in the same thread. Clever prompts won't save you here. Memory management will. The AI is not your enemy, but it's also not psychic. It needs you to manage its context. Control the context or it will cheerfully consume your time suggesting things you've already decided against. I'm Anaya Steele, and you've been prompted. Until next time.